Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy, Big Bluger 97 here, coming at you with a My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 271 review. And when it comes to this chapter of My Hero Academia, unfortunately we're not going to focus on Shigaraki and his awakening, so that was a little disappointing. But what wasn't disappointing is the fact that we get a Tokoyami-centered chapter. And let me just say that just the fact that we are focusing on Tokoyami in this chapter and his relationship to Hawks, I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to actually get right into the chapter right now in doing the review. And also, if you haven't noticed, I'm recording on a different camera, so hopefully the camera quality will be a whole lot better, and hopefully I'll be able to keep up this camera quality for the upcoming videos as well as the reviews. So with that little thing out the way, let's start off with a chapter where we actually start off with a little bit of a flashback to when we saw Tokoyami seeing Hawks fly out the building. We all assume that he automatically went up to go chase him, but we get a little bit more context for how he actually was able to get away from Fat Gum. And we also get a little bit of context to like how powerful Fat Gum is, or particularly like when it comes to his power, like what are like the real like drawbacks, not drawbacks, but more of like how someone can leave Fat Gum's body. Because if you remember correctly, Fat Gum basically has the ability to absorb like not just sharp objects, but just multiple objects, impacts, and store it in his body. But from what we get in this chapter is that not only is it like able to take in like pretty much anything, like wrap them in his body and encase them, but it's actually really hard to escape. And the fact that Tokoyami with his Dark Shadow was even like attempting to do so and succeeded just shows not just how powerful Tokoyami is, but not also just how powerful Dark Shadow is, but how strong they could possibly be if they continuously train. And the fact of the matter is, this is Tokoyami and Dark Shadow when they're just in normal form without like the boosted of like darkness on their side, and they're able to escape Fat Gum, who he says that, yo, this kid is real strong. No one has been able to escape like my Fat with like that much ease, like ever. So after that realization, and the other students, specifically Kaminari, is like, where are you going? And Dark Shadow and Tokoyami is like, yo, I saw Hawks come out of that building, I gotta go to help him. And as he flies away, Fat Gum just chases after him, and I'm like, wow, that's real amazing, Fat Gum, that you think that you can catch a flying bird. It's not gonna end well for you, is it? And spoiler, he doesn't get to Tokoyami in time. But with that but that's basically the intro of the chapter, and we don't even get like the cover page until like around page 3. And let me just say, and hopefully I can have an image of it like somewhere on the screen, where you just have like Tokoyami, and he just looks like he's dressed up in like traditional like Native American garb with like face tattoos on his face, and he just looks extremely menacing, and he just looks very cool. And as well as he has like multiple like either they're like rhino like nails or like rhino horns just strewn all over his body. It looks very cool, and I really do enjoy this cover page. And it's dark and it's black and white, which matches Tokoyami to a T, so it just fits, and it's really enjoyable. And it also shows that this is a Tokoyami centered chapter. So with that out the way, we actually cut back over to the present, where we get a double page of Tokoyami and Dark Shadow with Hawks confronting Dabi. And this is basically where the fight sort of left off a few chapters ago, where Tokoyami came in to the rescue to save Hawks before he was completely dead. And when he saves Hawks, he's like putting out Hawks because he's, you know, on fire after, you know, Dabi basically just fire blasted him almost to smithereens. But luckily enough, he survived due to due to Tokoyami's interfering with Dabi in the attack. But Hawks is in like a horrible state, like he's probably on the borderline of dying. And what I enjoy most is like how docile a Dark Shadow is, because he's like, Fukaki, look, Hawks is in a bad state. Oh no, his back, it's gone, it's gone. Which, from what Dark Shadow is saying, it's implying that from what Tokoyami for what Dark Shadow is saying about Hawks pointing at his back and saying that they're gone is implying that Hawks has lost all of his feathers, and not just his feathers, that he probably has lost like the wings where the feathers come from, which from what I'm understanding from this and what I think that this is going towards, Hawks may be retired. Like in the same vein of Best Jeanist, Hawks is most likely going to retire after this war. If he survives it, mainly due to the fact that his wings are gone, like he probably won't be able to grow them back from like ashes. Also, if it's fire, and if we've learned anything from Endeavor when he cauterized the wound, his wings probably won't ever grow back. So he's probably not going to be able to be a hero anymore. But there's a second possibility which ties into Hawks' inspiration. And when it comes to Hawks' inspiration, he is inspired by the X-Men hero Angel. And in the Angel comic book, well, not in the Angel comic books, in the X-Men comic books, Angel has lost his wings before, but then they have been replaced with metal wings. And it has to do with a storyline of him basically becoming a pawn for Apocalypse, and he basically turns evil, which could be interpreted into the My Hero Academia world where Hawks may no longer be a part of the hero circle due to what he may learn about Endeavor and how Dabi may be Endeavor's son, or the fact that he double-crossed like the villains and that he really can't be trusted by the heroes, which in this chapter Dabi talks about how Twice is dead because of Hawks, and how Hawks is just as bad as the heroes when he talks to Tokoyami about this. And he's basically said, and this is kind of tying to what I want to talk about next, is how basically Dabi is just talking to Dabi is basically just talking to Tokoyami, telling him that, oh, you're a student. Wow, the heroes are really in help if they decide to bring in students. And yeah, you're trying to help him, but kid, guess what? He killed this guy, and all this guy was doing was trying to save his friend. So you know, you think that you're better than us villains, but frankly, y'all heroes are worse than us. And that's basically what he says, like in a nutshell. And I'm just reading this and thinking to myself, hey Pot, I'm Kettle, nice to meet you. Because what Dabi just said about the heroes being worse than the villains, I'm like, okay, you're the pot calling the kettle black, and you're both blacker than black. You're being very hypocritical, Dabi. You're being very hypocritical, but he still does have a point, because a main thing that heroes do is that they rescue and stop the villains, and they try to do this without like harming the buildings, without harming the pedestrians, and without harming the villains themselves, which means that heroes aren't supposed to kill. And the fact that Dabi tells Tokoyami that Hawks freaking murdered Twice, he's basically saying like, yeah, you think that y'all are the best, but he literally just killed this guy because he was a villain. He was doing something good. He was going to go help his friends, but no, he's dead now because of that hero. You think that you're better than that? And when Hawks hears, not Hawks, but when Tokoyami hears that, he's like, he's shocked by it. But he also says that he's just here to save Hawks. And that's something else that Dabi says, like, oh, you're a hero. You're here to save everyone. Who are you going to save? And he's like, I'm just here for my mentor. And Dabi is like, huh, seems like you're thinking for yourself, as he fires off like a fire blast at Tokoyami. And here's the thing, Tokoyami dodges it. I mean, sure, he gets his foot burnt, but he dodges a flame by Dabi. Now, later on, we realize that it's not a full powered blast, but still, as a student going up against basically a high tier villain, just the fact that he was able to not only dodge the attack, but also move Hawks out of the way, shows that Tokoyami is like, he is a hero. He is a very strong character, and he's still like, but he still has room to grow. Because frankly, this isn't going to be a one-on-one fight with Dabi. It's going to be a we're going to escape as fast as we can. And when he does dodge attack, Tokoyami, he realizes like, yo, I can't go up against him. Like, he's basically like my natural weakness. The light affects Dark Shadow. My leg is burnt. Hawks is in danger. I don't know what to do. But then he asks Hawks like, yo, give me an order. And then we get a little bit of Dabi's weakness from Hawks' perspective, because if you've realized, every time that Dabi has been on screen, or not on screen, but every time he's like been in the chapters, he's always been talking and like criticizing and ridiculing his enemies, and we get a little bit of realization why he does that, and it's because he doesn't have the ability to continuously output fire. He's unable to like continuously like output fire attacks after fire attacks after fire attacks. He basically has somewhat like a cooldown period before he can like use another attack. So a way that he's able to like get by that is by just taunting his opponent and like allowing himself to keep talking while they listen, so that when he's finally able to fire off an attack, he can do so at full force while like keeping the attention of his enemy like at bay. Basically, he talks to like keep his enemy where they are and keeps the conversation going so that he can like just immediately attack. So Tokoyami gets told this by Hawks, and while Dabi is still speaking, Hawks basically says, "Go now." And at that moment, Tokoyami uses Dark Shadow to attack Dabi as he jumps over the railing to try to escape. And here's something else that we realize, that even though Tokoyami is strong and he wants to be a hero, he's still very inexperienced as a hero, as well as not having full mastery of his quirk, because Dark Shadow clings to the side, but because, you know, fire and light being his weakness, he's not as strong as he could have been, and because of that, he lets go of the railing. Dark Shadow, Tokoyami hits the ground and accidentally knocks Hawks out. Now, if he was more of an experienced hero, he probably would have been able to like have Dark Shadow hold onto the railing longer and prevented Dabi from going unconscious, because if they were to go unconscious, and let's say that they had a contusion in their head, or they could potentially have a brain damage, then you wouldn't want them to be unconscious because they could die. So after like that happens, he realizes, okay, I'm away from Dabi now. He probably can't attack me. Alright, so he activates his Black Fallen Angel, which is his just a way of flying with Dark Shadow. So he picks up Hawks, he's about to take off, and then we get a little bit of more of like, hey, do you think that Dabi is related to Endeavor? Well, here, let me just continuously pound a rock against your head, because Hirakoshi in this chapter is basically confirming more that Dabi is related to Endeavor, because he jumps off the banister, he activates his fire, Dabi activates his fire on his feet, which means that he is basically, he's not flying, he's just falling with style. But it's just reminiscing of the same way that Endeavor is able to quote-unquote fly. He's not flying, he's just falling slowly by using his fire to prevent him from like falling while keeping him airborne. And this is where we get a little bit more confirmation that, hey, yeah, I was holding back with that shot that I aimed at you, Tokoyami, and the shot that like you blocked and was able to get Hawks out of the way of that one. Yeah, those were too weak. Yeah, I kind of thought that y'all were gonna do some stuff like this. So yeah, goodbye. As he's about to like fire off like probably one of the largest fireballs that we will see out of Dabi, he gets interrupted by his weakness. Yeah, Getten. Because Getten apparently out of nowhere like creates like a big glacier of ice that basically knocks Dabi like out of his concentration. And we cut over to Getten, where he's basically sent Mount Lading flying towards where Fat Gum is. So yeah, like I said, Fat Gum didn't get to Tokoyami, but I think what this shows is that Mount Lady has a nice ass. And what I enjoy most is that Fat Gum makes a comment of "booty incoming." So that's just great comedy. Also, it also shows how powerful Getten is with his ice, where he's able to send a 50-tall giant woman flying. So Shoto's gonna have a hard time. Which also, the fact of the matter is that you have fire and then immediately ice. Shoto Todoroki. I think it's very obvious that Dabi is Toya, but you know, we can't wait. We have to wait until he tells us exactly, even though he already told us that he's basically Toya. It's gonna be a long while before we get like concrete evidence, but yeah. Cut after that short tangent. We basically get Getten, and he's basically telling the rest of the Paranormal Liberation Army, he's like, hey, okay, guys, you're falling into their trap. Get your shit together. Where basically he says it more eloquently, and it's like, and what I enjoy most is that he calls out the heroes as being dogs of the state, and I feel as if that is a reference to Full Metal Alchemist, or as some people call it, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because in Full Metal Alchemist, the alchemists are also considered dogs of the state, dogs of the military. So I think that may be like a cool callback to Full Metal Alchemist, but that could just be just a general statement that you could say. You could say that the police are dogs of the state because the sheriffs are dogs of the state. German shepherds are dogs of the state. They're all dogs. But yeah, he basically just tells like the rest of the people, it's like, hey, get shit together, yo, focus on one point and like make a hole through it. And oh wow, weirdly enough, there's a villain that does exactly that. And oh, lo and behold, there's a villain that does exactly that, makes a hole in their defenses, and looks like he's about to aim for Gang Orca. Is Gang Orca gonna die? Is he gonna get a hole blasted through him? I hope not. But, you know, thanks again, Tokoyami escapes with Hawks. And you can take a wild guess that Dabi is fuming with anger. Actually, no, he's very nonchalant about it. It's like, get him. You let him get away. Dang it. Oh well. But yeah, but then, if anything, after that, which is the last 2 pages of the chapter, we see that Tokoyami has escaped with Hawks, but he notices that Hawks is like in a very critical state. And one thing I really enjoy about this page and this image of Tokoyami is that he's crying and he's yelling and he's basically saying like, you're not dirty Hawks, you're a hero, I know what you did was right, which I'm gonna say that that's kind of like iffy on that, because he's like, it was right for you to kill him is basically what he's saying. It's like, yeah, you should have killed him. And I'm thinking like, well, should he though? Like, there could have been like many other ways that he could have like potentially like not dispersed, but there are possibly many other ways that he could have handled twice, where he did handle twice. And yes, Hawks was being interfered by Dabi, but I feel as if there could have been other ways that he still could have like handled twice instead of straight up killing him. But Tokoyami just looks up to Hawks as his mentor, as his like basically the hero that he aspires to be. So he's like, it's okay, you did everything you need to do, I still believe in you. And what I really want to talk about is the fact that Tokoyami is crying. And when it comes to Tokoyami and My Hero, he's more of like the edgy, emo kid that you always see that's like always wearing black. His room is black, which it is. And he's just like very melancholy and seems to, for the most part, be very monotoned. But from the expressions that we see in this chapter, as well as this specific page of him holding Hawks, he's crying. And it just shows that he really does care about Hawks, and that he looks up to him, and that he really thinks of him as a mentor. And it just shows like the range of emotions that Tokoyami has, and it's not just limited to just being an emo kid, that he is more than just that stereotypical idea of what emo is. He's revelry in the darkness, but also, please senpai, please stay alive. So yeah, that's basically all that we get from Tokoyami for this chapter. But then the final few panels and final few pages of this chapter shows Redestro asking, where are my legs at? Where are they? Where are my spare legs? And just when Dude is like, Redestro? What? Gigantamakia stands up and he's like, Master Scent. As the chapter ends. So if you didn't think that Shigaraki was alive in the previous chapter, I think the fact that Gigantomaki is like, oh, Master Scent, which is referring to Shigaraki, is that he's still alive and that he has potentially awakened. So, what can I really say about this chapter? I thought it was a really good chapter. I really did enjoy the fact that it is focusing on Tokoyami. That's something else that we could have predicted that this chapter was going to be about, is Tokoyami. And with this idea in mind, potentially next chapter is probably going to focus on maybe like what the kids are doing in the city, the moment right before Deku has that realization that he's coming. So following that trend, we're most likely going to go back to the students, Deku, Bakugo, Shoto, and see what they were doing before all of this went down. Or we could potentially cut over to Shigaraki's awakening, which would lead to the death of Exless, which no one cares about Exless, and the potential death of President Mike, as well as a whole lot more heroes. And I think with this chapter also showing that the villains are about to make a comeback, because at this moment the heroes were dominating. They were able to block off the entrances for the villains that were in like the underground, block all of those entrances. They were able to take over the hospital. They're taking down most of the high-end Nomus. They killed Shigaraki. So the heroes are on their high right now. But what this chapter is showing is that high is coming down and is about to hit ground zero real fast, while the villain side is about to like begin to like catching steam, because we see that Getten has finally entered the battle and is sent back Mount Lady, throwing her back, and we see that there are potentially people like in the ice that are going to do sneak attacks against the heroes, as well as the fact that like Hawks is down for the count. Definitely, he's not dead, but like he cannot fight anymore. And yes, he did escape, but he escaped with Tokoyami, who could have been a potential like help to the heroes, and potentially the heroes that are there now are most likely going to fall, and then the students are either going to have to come in to try to help sweep up everything, either rescue those heroes while fending off the villains. But chances are high enough, while this is all going, Getamaki and Shigaraki are going to go on a rampage, and chances are high enough they're probably going to, if they do not like demolish all the heroes that are at the facility right now, their hideout, they're probably going to go to the city, where we're possibly going to see a confrontation between Deku and Shigaraki, which will technically be their second interaction, but the first time that they would ever clash in My Hero. So that's potentially what's going to happen. Other things I want to talk about is mainly just the characterization of Dabi, as well as Tokoyami, and how we get a little bit more explanation of why Dabi acts the way that he does in a fight. Is because his power is limited to like 1 or 2 bursts before having to like cool down, or having to like, basically in the same idea of Endeavor overheating, he cannot use it multiple times in a row, but when he can, they are extremely powerful and extremely strong, and that he does have some control over it, but he still, for the most part, has to have a cooldown period for that. As long as we can see how powerful Dark Shadow is, as well as Tokoyami, and how they're able to escape Fat Gum's Fat, which apparently no one has ever done until now. So it just shows that Tokoyami is strong now, and he can potentially take out a few of the villains there, but he's still not ready for that high tier level, which could also imply that the other My Hero kids of UA, as well as the other students, also aren't ready for that yet, implying that most likely that they will probably be ready when they finish high school. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this chapter. Hopefully y'all guys enjoyed this video, this review of My Hero Academia. If I could give it a score, I'd probably give it like a solid 4 out of 5. And as I said, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you continue watching my videos, and hopefully you'll be able to watch my review of My Hero Academia for the next week. So like, comment, subscribe, do all of that cool jazz, and I'll be able to catch you guys in the next video. By the way, look at this. I didn't stop recording. Dang it.